I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Dr. U. Grant Baldwin Jr. I am the Director of Academic Programs at CGI, and we'll ask you to start us off here.
All right.
All
So
right.
my name is Valeria Parejo. I'm a board certified behavior analyst. I have a master's degree in applied behavior analysis. I'm also a qualified behavior analyst, which is another credential in behavior analysis. I
Mhm.
was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I
Oh,
was raised in France and in Brazil. And I moved to the US in 2001 to pursue my career in behavior analysis. So I transferred from the Federal University in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil to the University of South Florida in Tampa to
okay.
finish up my bachelor's in psychology with a concentration in behavior analysis. So with that concentration in behavior analysis, I was able to sit for the first board certification, the BCABA certification, which is the certification in behavior analysis at the bachelor's level. With that, I was offered a job at a not-for-profit agency here in Tampa to become a behavior analyst and to serve um, adults with disabilities, intellectual disabilities that were living in intensive behavioral group homes. So while I was doing that, I started my master's in ABA at the Florida Institute of Technology, also here in Florida. And so I started my career in behavior analysis, serving adults with disabilities and very challenging behaviors, including forensic involvement. So working with people that were either on probation or had some type of court order to receive services, including people that were on the sex offender registry.
Hmm.
So I worked in that for a long, long time, for over a decade. I got my master's. I became a BCBA, which is Board Certified Behavior Analyst, which is the master's level certification. And then about maybe 6 years ago, I started branching out a little bit, starting to work with kids and teenagers living in their family homes, receiving ABA services. And I also started working internationally, kind of going back to my roots, working in Brazil, providing ABA services, supervision, and mentorship to clinicians in Brazil. So I was kind of going back and forth. This obviously was pre-pandemic, right? So back
Right.
in the olden days of yore, when we can actually travel, I was going to Brazil every 3 months and doing very much hands-on training, supervision, coaching of professionals over there and families. And then I would come back to Tampa, Florida, and for the next 3 months, I would do my supervisions online via telehealth. So I was kind of prepared to do the whole telehealth thing. I was a little bit of ahead of the curve with that, but unfortunately, we missed the opportunities to travel and actually see our supervisees and clients in person. So that's a little bit sad.
Okay. Wow. Yes, the pandemic has put a halt on a lot of things. So, another question: why did you choose the DBH as your doctoral degree?
Well, I always wanted to pursue a doctorate, and I was almost getting to the point of signing up for a doctorate in behavior analysis. And what held me back was that I felt that if I had a doctorate in ABA, it would be more of the same. It wouldn't actually expand my horizons as a professional. It wouldn't actually bring much more to me. And I'm lucky enough to know Dr. Rocha, who is one of the faculty at CGI, and got her a doctorate at CGI. And the more she talked about the DBH program, the more enticing it became to me. The way I see it is kind of expanding my horizons and really broadening my skill set beyond what I was already doing in ABA. And so that was, and also I'm very much, attracted to that idea of integrated care. I feel like, especially for the populations that I've worked with, intellectual disabilities, they are not getting a good deal out of our healthcare system. Unfortunately, they're, especially due to communication issues, like, barriers that they present behaviorally, a lot of the times their physical health is not taken into account as much. And a lot of their physical ailments are, dismissed as part of their intellectual disability or challenging behaviors. So for me, having a program where the focus is integrated care, it was really finding my people, finding my niche. And so that's what I really wanted to do.
I know that feeling of finding your people. So, okay. What were your thoughts and feelings once you received your acceptance letter into the DBH program?
I was thrilled. It was a process because I kind of had let go the part of like continuing pursuing my ABA track. So it was getting a little bit out of my comfort zone. So it was thrilling and a little bit scary at the same time, because I knew that I was going to be challenging, and it was it was going to be a new adventure for sure.
Okay. What do you hope to achieve within the community you serve as a DBH?
Well, like I said, one of the areas that I'm interested in pursuing, and I think as a DBH, I will definitely have more opportunities to work in that, is the intersection between intellectual disabilities and aging population and gerontology. None of us are getting any younger, and the people that I serve now as adults eventually are going to get to the point where they're going to need nursing homes or assisted living facilities, as their life expectancy nowadays is much better. And I know for a fact that those settings are not prepared to address dementia plus autism plus developmental disabilities. Those settings are definitely not prepared for that. So I think that having an integrated care approach and starting the work of assisting those setting those facilities to prepare for the oncoming cohort of people with developmental disabilities that are aging and are in good health enough to be aging, is definitely a new frontier for us to serve.
Okay. Another question. Tell us about some of your favorite courses in the DBH program.
Okay, so I'm a first-year student, so I have not gone through many, but definitely the first spring courses, the DBH 1000 and DBH 9901, are my favorites in the sense that they were a brand new world. They were a culture shock for sure. They were a little bit scary. I'm not gonna lie. I'm coming from the behavior analysis world, where we, for instance, do not do any type of diagnosis or any type of clinical assessment. The assessments that we do are purely behavioral, right? And so being put in a position of, using those tools, recommending specific assessment tools, that was definitely the scariest part. And from Dr. Young's class, the 9101, I think that the most thrilling and challenging assignment was creating our webpage, our blog post. That was extremely scary for me, even scarier than doing the lit review, because I feel like it's hard for a lot of us to come in and learn to sell our skills and put ourselves out there. And I think as DBHs, this is going to be one of the skills that we will have to develop, right? A lot of people are not familiar with our specialty. A lot of people are not even familiar with the degree that we're pursuing. So I really like the fact that Dr. Young put it in the forefront in the first class of the first semester of the first term that, hey, this is something that you have to work on, and let's start
Right.
working on it right now. First day on the program.
Okay. Let me ask you another question here. What has surprised you while in the DBH program?
Like I said, it's very much out of my comfort zone. So that has been surprising. And at the same time, I graduated with my master's, more than a decade ago. So I felt like I was a little bit rusty with my student skills. But I was surprised to see that it's kind of like riding a bike, right? We get back on track and we get back to that student way of life pretty easily. I was really surprised also on how supportive and nurturing the CGI community is. I felt like all the professors were very much very focused on our success and reaching out to make sure that we felt supported and that we were successful. And again, for those of us who are, stepping out of our comfort zone, many of them would reach out to us in making sure that we felt welcomed and included. So that was very surprising, because a lot of the times in graduate programs, people think that everything is very much cutthroat, and that's not the vibe that we get here at CGI.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for that response. And we are recording and live here, and I'd like to welcome Ms. Jack here. Thank you for coming. And would you give us a little introduction? Tell us about your background and where you were born, your education, credentials, and your professional career.
Okay. I'm Shadiases Jack. I am originally from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. I currently reside in Southern Maryland. I am a licensed certified clinical social worker. I am also a social work supervisor. I work in an outpatient mental health agency where I work with children and adults. I work with clients from the ages of 3 up until my oldest client right now is in her 50s. So across the entire lifespan. I also have a master's in gerontology. So I've worked in a skilled nursing facility as well as an inpatient psychiatric unit with older adults and young adults as well.
Okay. Why did you choose DBH as your doctoral degree, Ms. Jack?
The reason I chose the DBH is because across my career, even after undergrad and witnessing different gaps in the community where I'm in, the country that I'm from, with regards to mental health and the stigma and it not being not being accepted, quote unquote, and also people not being educated about what different mental health diagnoses are and what they may present as, and also seeing how that might impact treatment in people going into the hospitals for medical needs, as well as coming out of the hospital and needing more care. There's no continuity of care as well. And also in my current agency, seeing clients going into the hospital and not really either having enough services to follow up when they leave the hospital.
Okay. What were your thoughts and feelings once you received your acceptance letter into the DBH program?
I cried. I cried because it was very surreal. During my application process, I lost my dad. And it was like, wow, we talked about this and he helped me proofread my application essay, and it's like, wow, he's not here to see it happen. And so, yeah, part of it was, wow. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I appreciate you sharing that with us. So what do you hope to achieve within the community as you serve as a DBH?
Oh, bringing awareness to the community, being able to go back home. I'm sorry, I'm trying to wipe my
It's
eyes.
okay. Hey.
Being able to
Okay,
go back
trust me.
home and serve and bring more awareness to my country, in terms of, okay, the things that we see, it's not just because of people who's making those choices, but here's the underlying issue. What could we do to actively provide more holistic support to individuals? And also within the community that I live in, identifying different things that we could do to help provide even more support for families in our community here.
Okay. Appreciate you for sharing. Valeria, a question here, and then we're going to pass the same question to Ms. Jack when you finish. What can someone expect when they enroll into CGI? What could, someone that's been that's new to the program, what do you think they could expect when they enroll?
Okay, so I think like they can expect work. So it's not an easy, it's not, I don't want to sugarcoat it. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of reading. It's a lot of writing too. But I think that they can expect that feeling of community. I was very happy to realize in the first classes that I enrolled that all of us were coming from different backgrounds, and I felt that that was very encouraging, that all of us had the same goal, but coming from different backgrounds. So even though we might not have the same experiences, we were, looking forward to the same thing. You can definitely expect to make, have strong, build strong relationships with your colleagues. I already, even though I've been in the program for 6 months, I've definitely already developed some good a good support system from my peers. And I think that you can expect that the professors are definitely going to have your back. Like most of my experiences at CGI are of the professors that are willing to be flexible, understand that most of us are working full time and doing this on top of everything else that we have in our plates. And so although they're going to be expecting good work from us and not try to make it easier, they are definitely going to be understanding.
Right. And Ms. Jack, I'm going to ask you the same question so far with your experience with CGI.
So far I've experienced just everybody just being very warm and inviting and just wanting the best and ensuring that everything goes smoothly, even the orientation process. Like I went through the orientation process and I said, oh wow, this is very in-depth, like it's very thorough. So far CGI has set you up for success from the jump, from the goal.
Okay. Right. Going back to Valeria here. As a student, how was CGI different from your other higher education experiences?
Well, it was definitely different because when I was in my master's, it was brick and mortar. So that was definitely something. I remember that one of the questions in the interview during the acceptance process was asking about our time management skills and how we felt that we would be able to keep up with the workload. And so I remember saying, during my master's, I literally had to drive 2 hours to go physically to school to attend my classes. And so I felt that even though perhaps I was a little bit rusty as a student because I had been out of school for over a decade, I felt like I was gaining time by not having to commute and having everything at my fingertips. So for instance, having the library available, having Lori as a resource to help us through that, to do our research, that was definitely different from my previous experience. But I feel like the program, even though some people may have, their doubts about what an online program can provide, it's pretty, it's pretty stringent. We have pretty high standards. So there's the convenience of an online program, but at the same time, again, I don't want to sugarcoat it. It is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Okay. Ms. Jack, so far, what's the differences that you, from your experiences in higher education?
Well, this is completely online, as opposed to my previous, in my master's program, I had one online class, and then I did an online certificate course, but this is completely online. So that's the main difference, I would say, for me.
Okay. Valeria, do you have any words of wisdom or advice to share with future DBH students?
Be comfortable being uncomfortable. I feel like for me, it was, I had, again, Dr. Rocha was wonderful in guiding me and encouraging me to apply. So it was nice to have her support. But for most of us, again, nobody's coming from a master's in behavioral health, right? All of us are coming from different, behavioral health or health fields. So this is new to most of us. And so we have to be comfortable with, being out of that comfort zone that all of us, a lot of us have years of experience in our respective professions. And so being a rookie again, sometimes it's hard, right? So we have to embrace that and, use it as a journey to expand our horizons and be better professionals and better people by, learning from this experience.
Okay, Ms. Jack.
Could you repeat the question, please? I got
No
caught up in
problem.
her answer.
I definitely said, what words of wisdom or advice would you share with future DBH students due to your experience? What would you give them as they're coming through the application process, the interview, and so far with your experience with CGI?
I would say be yourself, be brave, go for it. Like if you are called to do it, then there's a reason for it, and just go for it. Don't be afraid to go for it.
Right, that's the big step, the major step there. Okay, Valeria, how do you see the Baldwin model impacting healthcare as a future DBH?
I was not familiar at all with the Biodyne model when I started.
Mm-hmm.
So this was actually, kind of going back to one of your previous questions. That definitely was a surprise to me. And it was a surprise to me that it has not been more wildly accepted and put into practice in the healthcare system. So I see it again. That whole part about integrated care for me was the most fascinating and most enticing part of the DBH program as a whole. So I see this as a major kind of like guideline for us as DBHs to disseminate that that philosophy and making sure that we are seeing people as whole people that require a holistic treatment. So this definitely is going to make a big impact in the way I present myself as a DBH when I become one,
Mhm.
and also on how I try to collaborate with other medical professionals or people within the healthcare field.
Okay. And speaking on that, Valeria, what life changes have you made due to learning more about health behaviors as a student?
I have, for instance, organized my schedule better to make sure that I'm incorporating exercise in my life again. I know that everybody has been struggling with the pandemic, but for instance, doing one of the classes on comorbidities and chronic conditions, and how to create a behavioral health program, and kind of like starting a project definitely inspired me to, do what you say, right? uh, Follow our own advice, and making sure that I'm taking good care of my health, to be able to be more productive, and take care of my mental health as well, and my quality of life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I often remind my students that, you're doing something very unique that only about 1% of the human population engages. So you're doing something very unique and special, and it will be a process that will be probably one of the most remembered things in your career and lifetime. So, Ms. Jack, and we're getting to the end of this. This is one of our final questions. And you can lead us off, and then Valeria, I ask you the same thing. Is there anyone you'd like to thank for supporting you in this new endeavor?
Absolutely. My parents.
Mhm.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
parents for just everything, always being supportive. Yeah, my parents, couple of my friends who I mentioned, oh, I'm gonna go back to school, I'm gonna go do this program. And they're like, well, what is that about? And I explained it, and they're like, yeah, that's the program for you. You've lit up completely. Just everybody who's been supportive, my parents, my friends, one of my former supervisors as well. So yeah, just everybody who's been supportive. And everybody who's gonna listen to me complain and cry and all the emotions that I'm gonna feel going through this program.
so you're thanking them in advance, right?
Yes, I'm thanking them in advance because I'm gonna call and I'm gonna cry, and
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And
Thank you.
also the lecturers and staff at CGI as well.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Valeria, is there anyone you would like to thank for supporting you in this endeavor so far?
Yes, so definitely my husband. My husband got the honey push through diploma when I graduated from my master's, because he definitely was the person supporting me and encouraging me, and removing the textbooks away from my face when I slept on them because I fell asleep when I was studying too much, and taking care of me, emotionally with that. And I know that when I told him that, hey, let's do this again together, he was not scared at all. He definitely supported my decision to keep pushing. And for sure, Dr. Rocha from CGI, who was the inspiration for me to apply, and definitely an inspiration as I see how she built up her own company, her own brand, and is using her degree to disseminate integrated care, behavioral health, and ABA practices, not only in the US, but also across the globe.
Okay. So it's great to hear that we have that network of people to support us during this journey, because it will be a journey and we will need that support, but they are actually a part of the journey with you as you get ready to, you're completing and starting the this process of doing something that only 1% of the population does. So I would like to thank you both for sharing with us, giving your student experience. And Ms. Jack, thank you for your responses with the student experience. So we actually have a student in the program with Valeria, and Ms. Jack, we have with a student entering the program in the fall of 2021. So again, I would like to thank you both for taking your time and meeting with me and having this interview. And, I'd like to say, I'm quite sure I see some stellar work. Valeria, I've seen, stellar work. You do very stellar work. Outstanding. I'm quite sure, Ms. Jack, that you would do the same. Take it to another level. And both of you are represented as well in the CGI community and the integrated healthcare community. So I will bring this to a close. And I thank you and bid you good night.